Next, let's talk about cloud computing architecture. Cloud computing architecture is a complex and dynamic system that enables the organizations to design and deliver the secure services to their customers. Cloud computing architecture refers to the software and hardware component that work together to enable the delivery of the cloud services. These components include the physical servers, storage devices, networking infrastructure, and virtualization softwares that make up the cloud infrastructure. The cloud computing architecture shows how all the components required to build a cloud infrastructure are integrated. Cloud architecture divided into two sections. Front-end architecture. Front-end architecture include the user interfaces and applications which are used by the client to access the cloud services. The front end includes the components like local network, web browser, and web applications. Front end allow the user to interact with the back end of the cloud computing. The back end respond to the queries asked by the front end. Backend architecture. Backend architecture in the cloud refers to the hardware and storage that are located in the cloud environment. So let's talk more about front end and back end architecture of the cloud computing. Front end is used by the client to access the cloud applications. Front end contains the client side interfaces and applications that are required to access the cloud computing platform. The front end provides a graphical user interface to end users to access the application. The main front end cloud components are user interfaces, software running on the user's machine, and client devices like laptop or desktop. Front-end architecture includes the user interface that used to send the request to the backend cloud platform to perform any task. Some of the popular user interfaces are web browsers or API. Front-end also include the client devices or local network used by the end user to access the application. The front end also include the softwares that runs on the user's machine, like client-side applications or web browser. So the front end part is used by the client to access the cloud services. Like you open a web browser on your laptop, desktop, or mobile phone to access your cloud-hosted application. In this case, web browser on your laptop, desktop, or mobile phone is the front end. The cloud service providers like AWS, Microsoft, or Google manage the backend architecture for cloud computing. The backend usually contains the physical infrastructure and hardware along with security and management software. The cloud provider use the backend architecture to manage the resources that are required to provide the cloud services. In backend architecture, we have application. Application in the cloud computing backend architecture refers to a software or platform accessed by the client. The application takes care of the client request and requirement. Service. Service is an important component of a cloud computing backend architecture. The service handles every task that runs on the cloud. The service component manages which type of service you can access. It may be software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Storage. Storage in cloud is where your application's data is stored. It provides a large amount of storage capacity to store and manage the data in the cloud. Management layer coordinates between the front end and back end architecture in cloud computing system and oversees like application, administration, and security of the cloud. Security in cloud is necessary in order to protect the assets and data of the business. Security in the backend means protecting the cloud system and data from the unauthorized access. You open a web browser on your laptop, desktop, or phone to access your cloud hosted application via internet. The web browser or your laptop desktop is the front end, and the server where your application is actually hosted is the backend. Overall, cloud computing backend architecture is designed to provide the infrastructure and services to support the delivery of the cloud application. I hope you would have get some basic clarity of the cloud computing architecture.